Hey guys, Snake here, and a few of y'all may be surprised at the title, but this is pretty much a gamer's confession, which I may put that as the title also. This is pretty much my confession. Um, Basically, I once was, and also before I talk about it, I'm gonna wait to the transition of the truth of it. Once this one transition to come through in more detail, but this was basically the truth of who I was uh, years ago. And transition is about to come now. Basically, yeah, that's. Oh yeah, just elaborate with y'all. That's my character. That's how I eventually as a snake. So every time I think as a snake, I think of that. But anyway, yeah, basically that's what it represents. Truth, the real was really going on. If you haven't played Phantom Pain, give it a chance. Uh, but anyway, yeah, onward to what I was going to say. But yeah, I have a pretty much a gamer's confession to make. I was once a fanboy. To be honest, I was a Sony fanboy, but I wasn't always a Sony fanboy. Basically, I didn't start to become a Sony fanboy until last generation, basically around the PS3 and 360 era. Um, I don't know, it was just something about that era that finding all this information, but I don't know because the generation before, around sixth generation, I wasn't like this at all. I wasn't like this, but I wasn't like around six, and it's the sixth generation and before. I wasn't like that. I wasn't a big Sony fan. I just wanted to play the newest games that was on either platform back in sixth generation and before it. But all of a sudden, seventh generation, when the internet just started to become more open to me, I started to meet more friends, very well educated friends also. And the more they told me about the PS3, the more they told me how how weaker the 360 was and how weak the Wii was. Telling me all these things that these were all facts. The fact that the E system was weaker, but in my mind, I was thinking to myself like, if it's not Sony, I don't want to touch it. Then they were telling me how sometimes they would do the PlayStation 3 ports, but they won't really work with with the cell processor. And basically, I was on this thing saying like, basically, if the third party developers do not build their games from the ground up on PlayStation 3, I was not going to play it. And that's what I guess I said. I'm just going to stick to first party games because they started telling. Now, this was when they was really trying to show me the graphical difference between the two. The top, pretty much first part of base there was Uncharted and there was Gears of War, whatever. And I was always say Xbox. I was the guy that said Xbox sucks. I might as well stay on PlayStation because Sony, whatever. I don't know. I was just really having. I really was on Sony ass. I wouldn't say ass, but I was dick riding them hard back in the day. But later on through that whole generation, the more I stopped playing third party games, the more and more I got bored. Basically, I stopped. Basically, when I started to play some first party games, I was in denial of the fact I was enjoying most of it. For instance, God of War 3, I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was the best God of War game ever made. Uncharted 3, which I had to actually force myself to actually convince myself to like it. A friend of mine loved it because it was a graphical achievement above 2, but to be honest, nothing to me not gonna beat 2. Uncharted 4 was up there. Uncharted 4 was definitely up there, but Uncharted 2 is always gonna be the biggest favorite. Then I also started to, and then when I had Killzone Day 1, because I was really a Killzone fan, but also that Sony fanboy side kicked in, and you know, I was saying to myself, man, this is better than 2. This is way better than Killzone 2. But in reality, it definitely was not, because that's how blind I was to it. Not because of it's not because I was a big Killzone fan. Also, it's just the fact that I was a big Sony fan mostly, and it didn't. I didn't. I started to kick out of it once I started to see what was really going on. Because that's when I was saying I said Final Fantasy 13 sucked because it was on a multi-platform, but in actuality, the game sucked because it was a totally different direction that Final Fantasy shouldn't have went with 13. I'm, and also I have a high hopes. I got very high hopes for 15. Um, I'm pretty sure the 15 is going to be a great game. I'm not gonna hype it up. One thing I say is I do feel it's definitely gonna be a great game. But anyway, onwards to Last Generation. Yeah, basically I was saying that if the game was third party and if the developer's not gonna build the game from ground up, even with these games with like at least decent ports for the PS3, I would say I'm not gonna touch it because it's not being built from the ground up on PS3. Even if the ports was decent enough, or at least damn near equal on 360, it's like a 360 port, I would still say I wouldn't touch it. And I said I started to become. Then I don't know, something to snap because I guess around the time that the Mega Solid HD collection came around, I really saw the difference between a fan and a fanboy of Sony. So basically, as a Metal Gear fan, I already knew Metal Gear was shared on multiple platforms. Even though they was always on Sony platforms first, there was other games there was other Metal Gear that was on other systems like the Game Boy Advance. I mean the Game Boy Color, and let's see, they made one for 3DS. They also made one. They also made a port of Metal 2 on Xbox. They was gonna do Metal 3 on Xbox, but they were too focused on Metal 4. Let's see. And also they made the remake of Twin Snakes, even though some may have ifs and ands about that one. But the truth of the matter is that the fact that Metal Gear was on multiple platforms before. I think I was the only fan that pretty much said that, hey, Metal Gear was always on other platforms, so why? Then, yeah, it's been like, okay, cool, it's coming to 360 and PS3. Then I saw some other fans, some fans I actually pretty cool with, that was saying like, no, this is the death of Metal Gear because it's on 360, and 360 fans would never enjoy Metal Gear 4 because it's on PlayStation. That's the best way to do it, and it just snapped out of me. I'm like, wait a minute, this is really the type of person that I used to be, Legendration. Then I started to go back to some games that I dissed a long time ago. Like I went to go back to play some third-party games back in the, years ago. I'm like, wait a minute, some of these games I actually said that sucked was actually pretty good. Even some games that was exclusive to the Wii and exclusive to 360, I was like, wait a minute. When I had the chance to actually play these games on those consoles, I'm like, wait a minute, these games not bad. Actually, some of these games are better than some of the games I played exclusively on Sony's platform. I'm not saying not all of them, but I'm just saying like there's certain games that I feel so mad that I missed out on because I was being this big fanboy. And this is why I know so much. This is why I talk about fanboy versus fans a few times in my videos, because I used to be a PlayStation fanboy. And I don't know what, something about 7 Gen just turned me into that, and I snapped out of it years later and saw how blind I was. Now, one thing is pretty much clear enough because I'm an adult now, and all I gotta say is this: I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer, but I'm also a consumer first. So whatever I put my money towards, it's gonna be what I'm interested in, and whatever. Don't let plastic control you. Don't let corporate control you. That's why I snapped out of it, because I didn't want to. I feel like I was a big part of that whole fanboy thing that going on back in the day. Anyway, guys, I'm about to go ahead and end my video. I wish I could have made it a little bit longer, but I was just trying to make a statement. Hopefully I catch you guys next video. Peace out. Hope I make part 2 of this.